Welcome, brother. So today what we're going to talk about is how I never eat bad. And this was not always the case. I used to have ups and downs of eating healthy and then going back to junk food, sacrificing and getting fast food on my way home from work because I was tired and didn't want to cook, to splurging on the weekends and getting dessert at the restaurant or eating worse than I should, the French fries, the burgers, all that good stuff. That used to be me. I used to do all that stuff. But there's really three things that I started doing over the last 8 weeks that have allowed me to no longer eat bad ever. And what those three things are is, number one, I track every single thing that I eat. Everything that I put in my mouth is tracked. And I do this with Claude AI. All right, ChatGPT is great. You can use ChatGPT, but Claude works a little bit better for this. So what Claude does is you can set up a prompt, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You just say, hey, Claude, I'm on a journey to do X, Y, and Z. So for me, I said, I'm 250 pounds. I'm on a journey to get lean, and this is how I plan to do it. I want to take my body weight and I want to times it by 10, and I don't want to be able to eat more calories than that each day. And then I want to get 1 gram of protein per body weight, per pound of body weight. That's what I want to consume each day. And I also let it know all of my other fitness goals, okay? And then I said, I need you to have a running total of everything that I'm going to be eating for the day. That way I can make sure I'm on track each and every day. So that's the prompt that I gave it essentially. And so now what I do is whenever I'm about to eat something, I got the plate, everything's ready to go, fork in hand, I take my phone out, I go into Claude and I say, Claude, it's time to track the calories for the day. And it says, all right, great, where are we starting? I take a picture of the plate and it goes ahead and it calculates all of the calories, all the protein, the fats, the carbs, all the macros for it. And it gives me a running total of where I'm at for the day. So as I'm going throughout the day and I'm eating, I know exactly where I'm at, so I can be aware of how much more protein I need, how many more calories I have, so that I don't end up overeating and I end up eating the right foods. Because if I know I'm behind on protein, but I'm getting close to my calorie limit, then I know that the next meal's got to be something like a protein shake, it's got to be just meat, or it's got to be like a protein bar or something like that. So that's the first thing I've done to never eat bad ever again. The second thing that I've done is prioritize protein, meaning every single meal should be protein first. And the reason for this is twofold. Number one, you want to hit that protein goal so that you can build and maintain muscle while you're cutting. But number two, protein makes you fuller longer. So it satiates you much quicker than any of the other foods. So you always want to start your meal with eating protein, because you'd much rather leave some vegetables or some rice, some of the other carbs that you're going to be eating on the plate because you've gotten full, rather than having to leave the protein on the plate because you filled up on everything else. So you always want to eat your protein first when it's sitting there on your plate. So I always put that at the forefront. And then the third thing that I do is very, very simple, but a lot of people don't do it. All right, and that is eat 1 ingredient food. So what do I mean by that? So a 1 ingredient food would be avocados, would be chicken breast, would be eggs, would be rice that you make from scratch, right? Those would be 1 ingredient foods. What a lot of people do is they go to the store and they see these cheap, quick, and easy meals that they can warm up that were either made in the grocery store or they come in a package or a box, and they're supposed to be healthy. They say protein on them, they say this, they say that, they say healthy, organic. But when you look at the back of the box, there's a million different ingredients in a pre-made thing of rice or a chicken dish that you find, something like that. There's 1,000,001 ingredients that they put in those things. So those are not 1 ingredient foods. You're like, Sean, what's the big deal? This is just a pre-made meal that says chicken, avocado, and rice. What could be so bad? Well, when they're using all these artificial flavors, dyes, seasonings, all of these different things to preserve the food and make it last longer, okay? Those chemicals and those compounds can cause inflammation in the body. There's a reason why a lot of us have some type of metabolic disorder. There's a reason why Most people in America are obese. There's a reason why we have all these autoimmune diseases, and it's because of the things in our environment, as well as the things in our food supply and in our water supply. So you have to be very wary. If you would not find that ingredient in nature, then you probably shouldn't be putting it in your body. So no artificial flavors, no dyes, nothing in a box, nothing prepackaged. You want to get one ingredient foods and ideally be able to prepare those things at your home. So if you do those three things, track your calories every single day, everything that you eat with Claude, focus on protein first when you're eating your meals, okay, and then only eat one ingredient foods, then you will be in a much better place and you'll be much more successful cutting the weight that you're trying to cut. I had this conversation with my wife the other day because we had a big old box of oatmeal, Quaker Oats oatmeal, and it's just oats, that's it, right? But then she went into the store and she bought some of the instant ones with the brown sugar and all that good stuff. And what happened was I said, babe, why did you buy this? We have this big old box of oatmeal, we have brown sugar on the shelf, and she was like, well, this is just easier and quicker. And I said, yeah, I totally get that. But then you look at the back of the box and it didn't just have oats and brown sugar. It had a lot of other things in there that wouldn't have been present if you just bought the one ingredient food. So keep that in mind. I hope this video helped, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.